Hello, I'm Donald Raymer, and this is my presentation on barriers to using Web 2.0 and 21st century skills for AEP 800. A quick summary of the article from my perspective is for educators to stop making excuses when it comes to technology. We as teachers always say technology is lacking, or we don't have enough time or training to use it effectively in our classrooms. However, this article points out many different opportunities to bring technology into our schools and into our individual classrooms. First, we need to allow the students to teach us and to explore all the opportunities that are out there for us. And that brings me to my last point, that the opportunities for technology are endless, even with decreasing budgets in the state of Kansas. This is where the digital divide comes from for us educators that are kind of stubborn to want things to come to us. And so the digital divide comes from just sitting back and waiting for the technology to do all the work. Even though I do agree with kind of the article about how we can do more to advance in closing the digital divide gap, however, I do not see it changing for a long time. I say that for a few reasons. The cost of technology is rising, and as more people want in, and it just gets too expensive, and people will shut down. You know, the equipment changes almost weekly. Something new comes out the next week. The support, districts are losing funding right and left, so they're cutting those technology people. They're cutting those support staff. So it gets more and more difficult for the teachers. And as our teachers get older, they revert back to what they have learned in the past. Professional development goes back to funding. Money is being cut for that, so districts are spending less and less on technology enhancements. Ties into technology resources. 3, student instructional time. States are being told what to do, districts are being told what to do, and we're still taking, in a way, a multiple choice test over the certain topics. So everybody is stressed about that student instructional time to pass a state assessment. And this goes back to what I said in the opening statements. Teachers feel like they need to teach to the students, but we really should look to the students teaching the teachers. And then the fourth reason why the digital divide, I think, is going to still exist as we go on is open networks. A lot of local business have open networks, but not enough people allow it. So until those become basically free to everybody, the digital divide will still exist. What 21st century skills do I see students needing as they approach graduation? The 4 C's is how I'll start this off with. One is critical thinking. I think if you can't give a task and have them be able to process it and come up with a general plan and how to go about it, I think we're doing a disservice to the students. I have students that always ask me, is this the answer? And my response was, I don't know, but let's learn the process. The second C is creativity, allowing kids to be creative. A lot of districts have lost the arts and science classes in the elementary school, so kids have lost the art of just being creative and being able to build something. And so I think that's something that students need before they graduate. The third one is communication. I see it every day in the hallways, kids walking side by side with each other, texting each other, not turning and looking at each other to have a conversation. As a track coach this spring, I always try to make it a point to sit and have a conversation throughout the day with my athletes, just so they can have that open communication with an adult. And the fourth C is cultural diversity. I think we're growing up in a world where technology allows us to interact with people across the world. And if you don't have a diverse um, learning and culture, you can be lacking when you get into the real world. The second one is social media respect. With everything happening on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, the respect factor is so important. You just listened to the Lakers a few days ago have a teammate videotape another teammate and then over cheating on his wife and posted it to the web. That has caused a lot of backlash, and he's only 19 years old when making that choice, playing in the NBA, making $10 million a year. So missing out on something in graduation of schools teaching them, I think shows that we need to teach a little bit more social media respect. And third is self-discipline and self-direction. Students, are given a piece of technology and they want to just play games or sit on Netflix. They need to have the self-discipline and the self-direction that could be in their fingertips, but they can still get a job done. How has the global economy affected Donald Raymer? I think first and foremost, I can buy anything in the world at any time of the day. One of my favorite places to shop is Amazon.com. It has pretty much everything in the world, and the prices are usually the cheapest. A lot of the things I end up buying come from China, but 15 years ago, that wasn't really an option. The second place is 1-800-Flowers.com. Who doesn't love sending their wife flowers, but at the same time does not have the time to go to the flower shop to pick them out and design them. So I'm a fan of 1-800-Flowers, and I've learned that if your wife is happy, then you're going to have a happy life. And finally, the other way the global economy has affected me is photo banking. I no longer have to go to the bank to deposit a check. All I need to do is take a photo and send it to the bank through my app, and the money is deposited. And so the global economy has just changed the way we do everything. Now, if they can just find a way that you can withdraw cash from your iPhone, that would be pretty awesome. As I said earlier, I'm not for sure if the digital divide can be reduced, but because I'm starting to get on the bandwagon that it can be changed. But the technology training needed for me in my classroom right now is how to truly enhance instruction in a math classroom, and not just with calculators. I've went to a couple trainings. I'm starting to learn that, but I was never taught that, and so I was always stubborn not to try to change. But here in the last about 6 months, I'm learning how to do this. The second one is how to manipulate mathematical apps such as Desmos. Desmos has all this. It's free technology to enhance the math classroom, but part of it is learning how to manipulate it and to get it to do what you want. So, and there's other apps out there that we're using, but it just takes time to learn those apps. And then the third thing is training is on the digital citizenship and all the copyright laws. And as you can see, that kind of fits right into the ISTE standards 5D. So those are the 3 trainings that I really need to have. The district I work for, I think, started 5 years ago of becoming a technology district. We have, one-to-one iPads. However, there are still the first generation iPads, so that's kind of a struggle, only 16 gigabytes of storage. So it makes it kind of difficult to really get into things and create, large movies or create projects, not enough storage. We have 2,300 students in our high school, and we only really have 3 technology people that are able to help students and teachers. And so we have a lot of updates we could do, but like I said earlier, maybe instead of allowing the district to supply everything, allow the kids to bring their own device, and we can maybe advance this a little sooner. Advantages of the web. I think the first one is we have access to any publication or newspaper across the world. You can search for it. You can pay small fees, but you have access to journals and everything. Myself personally enjoyed reading the New York Times every morning. The second thing is the internet's always at your fingertips. You can search for anything you want at any time of the day. 3, the web is more accessible and quicker and is less expensive pretty much everywhere we go. And 4th, the opportunity to build prior knowledge and experience the world. Something you missed in 7th grade math, you can go online and find those topics and have a video or a fellow teacher teaching that topic. If you want to visit Israel, you could Skype in with somebody and be able to visit that country. Or now using Periscope and being able to go live anywhere across the world and have people view what you're viewing is a great advantage. And most of the time these apps are all free. Disadvantages of the web is, when things go viral, websites crash. The time consumption people spend on social media and social networks, they don't have time for each other anymore. My wife and I recently ate at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we watched a whole family go the whole dinner without even talking to each other. Their kids were on iPads and they were on their phones the whole time, looking like they were doing business, but they'd never even had a conversation as a family, so it was very disheartening to watch that. The third thing is how where we have sites like Wikipedia that anyone can make changes or edits to the post. So yeah, they're great knowledge. They're great sites for quick knowledge, but you have to be very careful with them. The other disadvantage of this is the cyberbullying and the illegal copying that is coming about. I think kids just think they can take anything from the web at any time of the day, so they need to learn some digital citizenship. Number 5 is children no longer come home and speak to their families. They go home and get on Netflix. They get on the PlayStation 3. So whatever it is, the communication between parents and children are lacking. And finally, bullying, cyberbullying. All these text messaging apps out there that now you can hide what you say and make yourself anonymous, so you can say very hurtful things to people. The gaming apps out there, there's chat rooms inside the gaming app, so it's hard to trace it back to who said what. And social media it seems like there's a new social media app starting up somewhere, or Facebook is almost 20 years old, but it's still growing, and so you have all these places where you can go out, and so it's all through words, it's all through digital, and so cyberbullying does take place. At our school, we have parents complain about it, and they say it happened right in front of or happens in our room, but we tell them that their kids never say anything, and so it's a hard thing to catch. But schools are trying to do their best to prevent that. So cyberbullying is a challenge, but I think as we keep going and we're teaching kids how to think before they push send on their keyboards or on their iPhones, 3 deep breaths before you send is important, and so maybe that'll help prevent some of this cyberbullying as we go forward in the digital world.